Which three games will define the Florida Gators season in 2025? And I'm going to be completely honest, going into SC Media Days, I was guzzling the Gatorade. Fully convinced DJ Lagway for Heisman Trophy. Coach of the Year goes to Billy Napier. And leaving Atlanta, well, now I'm cautiously optimistic because I still like the running back room, still like the defensive line, love the offensive line. And I've already made this clear. Dallas Wilson, he's going to be this year's Jeremiah Smith if you have a healthy DJ Lagway, because Lagway is the glue that holds everything together out in Gainesville. And there is an early stretch of games that will truly define he's the guy and we can compete this year. At LSU, at Miami versus Texas. So let's get into it. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Gator Nation, like the video, hit the ring notification, subscribe to the channel because we talk about your Gators every single day and we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show. Follow us on social media, link in the description, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're proudly brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Go visit FANDUEL.com/SECU and join today with getting $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. So if you see the money line start to move in favor of the opposing team, hammer the points when it comes to Florida, hammer the win total, and still believe that DJ Lagway can win the Heisman Trophy. Just do all that by going to FanDuel.com/SECU and win $250 in the process. So the 3-game stretch early in the year at LSU, Miami, and Texas, the reason why it's so poignant, what if you lose morale? What if everything goes south during that 3-game span? And all the positivity that came into training camp and all the things that we were hearing in spring practice and all the turning of the tides that we felt were coming around the corner last season, yeah, now that's out the window. You still have 8 more games to play. And signature matchups. You got to go face off against Texas A&M and Kyle Field. You got to go face off against Georgia and Jacksonville. Got to go play on the road for what will be a revenge game out in Ole Miss. Tennessee is going to want some blood. And then, of course, you got Florida State. And Florida State feels like it's at your same level. So those games are still really important, which is why these 3 matchups are truly the ones that will, I think, define Florida and what they're going to be as a program. Because you don't want to have the fall off like you saw last season, especially early on. The Miami game, dreadful. Texas A&M game, they wanted to boo Billy Napier out of the stadium while there was also a drinking and drive ad that was playing at the same time. And that's just not a good feeling at all. But those 3 games, truly going to be the X factor. Let's start off with LSU. What is LSU? Well, they're kind of supercharged Florida going into this year, if we're being honest. Quarterback returns. You feel confident that he is going to take the next step forward in year 2. They have some weapons that you're buying a lot of stock in. They believe that their running back room is pretty good. You have your questions when it comes to the offense and some pieces of the defense. But overall, the expectations among the fans is be competitive and maybe make it to the national championship. That's supercharged Florida. Florida, I think, is more so, hey, get to 9 wins. Maybe you can punch your ticket as a wild card for the college football playoff. If you get to 10 wins, you're in. Maybe at this point, we can make a trip down to Atlanta. Like, that's it. I don't think many people are saying national championship this year for Billy Napier and the boys. Like, I don't think that that's what the conversation is. That is what it is in Baton Rouge. But much like when we talk about with DJ Lagway, much like we talk about with this offensive personnel for Florida, what if things just don't go awry for Garrett Nussmeier and your defense balls on out and your defensive line is able to get incredible pressure and you watch us constantly play after play after play? They're able to shut down the rushing attack. One thing that has been prevalent for a Florida team, for an LSU team, is their inability to run the football. Last season, their offense was one-dimensional. And the worst part is their defense was one-dimensional at times. You had to make plays in the open field because of constantly the running back room was just pile driving it forward. And they were getting 4, 5, 7 yards. And then you knew that they were going to throw it over you. So you try to corral the box and then you lost that battle. Well, what if you can do the same thing and it's that way for Florida? What if Jaden Baugh, again, has a breakout game? What if this is the moment where he's rushing for $145 and he's averaging 6.2 yards a play? Or better yet, what if this is the moment where Dallas Wilson says, I got this, and he goes Superman and sicko mode. And it's straight up 175 yards, 2 touchdowns back in the end zone. And it's in Death Valley, and it goes silent. And the crowd starts to realize, oh boy, we're in for another year with Brian Kelly. Oh boy, Garrett Nussmeier did not do what we thought we were going to see. Same way we did with Joe Burrow. Same way we did with Jaden Daniels. And you win that game. Or flip it. What if this is the moment where Garrett Nussmeier wakes up and says, you know what? Year 2 for Garrett Nussmeier is going to be the exact same as the other 2 Heisman Trophy winners. Go ahead and book my trip on over to the Big Apple. What if you watch as Barian Brown has a breakout game? What if you watch as Caden Durham actually is able to be an efficient, really running the football? And you're trusting guys like Pup Howard at the second level, or Dijon Johnson, or Jordan Castell, or Bryce Thornton. They're going to have to make plays 7 or 8 yards after contact because if that's what the signature moment is. That's what I worry about when it comes to Florida, is their defense is going to allow far too many explosive plays. Their offense is going to be a little bit pedestrian at times. This defensive line is going to eliminate the rushing attack, and you're going to put it all on DJ Lagway's shoulders to have to get that signature win. The way he did last year in the Swamp, but remember, that game was in the Swamp. You're walking into Death Valley, a place where dreams come to die. It's a souring point. And the worst part is you got to turn that off and get ready for your next road trip by going to Coral Gables. Well, actually to Miami Gardens, go to Hard Rock Stadium, but we're not going to really talk about that stuff. Against Miami. Number one, this is a rivalry game because of its in-state. And this is big because of, for a lot of recruits, they'll be at this game. They'll be sitting on the sidelines. A win does wonders for a program. Like beating a Florida State or beating a Miami or a UCF for that matter. Let's say you go undefeated in those games. Well, at that point, you end up probably showing you have the most potential. And you have the SEC, and you have the NIL money. So a kid that was looking at Miami and saying, hey, I want to go play for Mario Cristobal, he sees the offensive line and the way that they're pulverizing guys like Ruben Bain and the linebacking core, and they're getting to the second and third level. Oh, I'm going to be better developed out in Gainesville than I will out in Coral Gables. I'm signing up here. So that's a big deal when it comes to that. But the other thing is, it's Carson Beck and DJ Lagway. These are two quarterbacks that are facing a lot of scrutiny because of the injuries. And whether or not it's fair, this is the reality of the world of college football. When you deal with injuries and you don't meet your overall preseason hype that wasn't set by you, but was set by outside noise, you have to deliver. And for a lot of people, Miami still is a team that can go on a run to the college football playoff. But they're going to face off against Notre Dame in week 1. That's going to be a litmus test for them. Then they have to face off against 3 weeks later, Florida. And then Florida State. And then Louisville. And if they win those games, really the only other matchup that I'm wondering about for the Hurricanes is that week 14 game on the road against Pitt. And let's say they go undefeated in all those games, they lose to Pitt. Okay, but they're 11-1 and they're going to the college football playoff. Because at 11-1, you're going to the college football playoff. Even if you were to lose the ACC championship to Clemson, to Pitt, to whoever it may be, doesn't really matter. They believe that they still have a roster good enough to win. Last year, they pushed all their chips into the pile. And they said, this is the year. And everyone looked around and said, remember when LSU said that in 2023? That's you. Go ahead and have egg on your face. Sit down and shut up and enjoy your Pop-Tarts Bowl. But they still feel like this could be the season. Add in some good names to the portal. They revamped their entire defense, got rid of Lance Guidry. They brought in Corey Featherman from Minnesota. They have some good defensive talent. They got some good running back rooms. So they're going to go balls to the wall. But I think that Florida is a more complete team. I think that Florida is the team right now that has the pieces that are more cohesive. I know what I'm getting in this offensive line. I know what I'm getting in this wide receiver room. I know what I'm getting in this front seven. And that could be lethal for opposing teams if they got to go toe-to-toe with me. You win that game, you get to go into a bye week. You go into the bye week, maybe you're sitting undefeated. And if you're not sitting undefeated, maybe you have one loss. You can live with one loss. You get healthy, you get your minds right, and you keep that intensity going into practice. Because then we go to the game number 3, which is the Texas game. And if you talk to a lot of people, I was the first to say it. If I think Texas loses one game this year in conference, I think it's going to be on the road. I think it's going to be in the Swamp. Now, that might change at this point because of the DJ Lagway situation. But regardless, I still believe that in the fourth quarter, this is going to be a dogfight. Texas is replacing a lot on the offensive line. Florida isn't. Texas is replacing 3 wide receivers. Florida is, but not really, because you still have you still have a Trey Wilson. You still have a guy in Aiden Mizell coming on back. And you feel really good about your young players like Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, Nashawn Montgomery. You also brought in J. Michael Sturdivant, and this is one of those games that you brought J. Michael Sturdivant in for. Is, hey, been inside of a high-intensity volume game. Let me go ahead and be your difference maker. This is the game. Like, in my opinion, this one, LSU, Miami, he is the one that we want to see take control. I'm wide receiver 1, guys. They're replacing multiple players on the defensive line. They're replacing a stud in the secondary with the Jim Thorpe Award winner and Jahdae Barron. You have an opportunity to catch them slipping. They are going to be coming off of a bye week, so we got to give credit where credit's due. But Arch Manning versus DJ Lagway is going to be cinema. It's going to be a masterpiece. In my opinion, it's going to be the must-see game of the week. And well, it should be, because of what did these two quarterbacks live up to the hype? What did both of them do? And I'm talking about you combined for over 500 total yards, 9 touchdowns, maybe 1 interception or 2 total turnovers. Both are completing over 65% of their throws. Both have a passer rating about 135.5 or 138.5. And it comes down to the wire. And it's going to be which defense wants it more. But you got Ant Hill, and you got Colin Simmons, and you got Trey Moore rushing DJ Lagway. But on the opposing side, you have some players. You got Pup Howard. You have Tyreek Sapp. You have Caleb Banks. You have Miles Graham. You got some dudes that are going to add that same validity against an offensive line that at this point in the year is probably just finding its rhythm. Just figuring things out. Yeah, the Ohio State game, you maybe feel like that they're going to win because of they have more talent, but they may lose that game because simply their offensive line is not the part. This is a game where you feel like the offensive line is all put together, comes crashing down immediately. And it's sour, and it's disappointing, and it's depressing, and Florida wins. And then you go ahead and you say, okay, well, now we're going to carry this momentum going into the rest of the season. We may have 1 loss on the schedule. Hell, we may have 2 losses on the schedule. But if we don't mess up from here, this is the signature win for Billy Napier. Let's go carry this the spark going into College Station. Let's go carry the spark going into Jacksonville. Let's go make sure that we don't fumble it at the 1-yard line against Kentucky or on the road in Oxford. Let's make sure that we continue to show Tennessee while you are our bitch walking into the swamp. Let's go show Florida State. Cool story, bro. You went 2-10 last year. You went 13-0 the year before. You're still domestically little brother in this rivalry, year in and year out. Let's do that. 2 or 3 wins like this can absolutely be that way for Florida. Or it could be on the opposing side. All 3 losses. There's no more spark. There is no hope. It feels like that you're just going through the motions. And yeah, maybe you'll get a win against Mississippi State or Kentucky, or Ole Miss doesn't live up to par. And so you're fighting for a bowl game at 6-6. And again, with this schedule, nobody would complain about that. But it's just the fact that the life was sucked out of the locker room and we haven't even gotten to mid-October. That's where you have your concerns. And that's where you got to wonder. Is Billy Napier really the right guy to lead the charge? Because last season, he was able to rally the troops. Those 3 games, dismantling embarrassing performances, that's a pretty quick way to have a one-way ticket out the door. But let me know in the comment section down below, what are Florida's 3 most important game stretch back to back to back in 2025? Like, review, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following us on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson, at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. And check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. Gator Nation, I'm Cole Thompson. Just remember, DJ Lagway is going to be fine. And he still may end up winning the Heisman Trophy. Just win like 2 out of these 3 games. Okay, cool.